Hey everybody, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Arizona Birdwatchers. My name is Troy Rowe, and I will be the voice on this show, followed by my counterpart.
My name is Dave, and I am the fan of the people, per se. I'm not going to claim I know that much about pro football.
Good.
But my ass does sit in a chair that happens to be 50 feet away from a cactus, and I feel like I should know a little bit about my boys in red.
Yeah,
and that's why I want to know a little bit about our Cardinals football.
Yeah, a little bit about me. You know, as I said, my name is Troy Rowe. I've been a Cardinals fan ever since I moved to Arizona, 2005. So I've seen more of the glory of the Cardinals. You know, it's been a rough 10 years, but I got to see the Kurt Warner days, and that was really, really what it was for me.
It was something special.
Wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, that Steelers game is going to eat at my heart for years, that Steelers Super Bowl.
That Steelers Super Bowl is considered one of the best Super Bowls ever played.
Yeah, it really is. And, of course, we haven't even gone a full minute of our inaugural podcast, and here we are talking about the Steelers-Cardinals 2008.
This is just,
Super Bowl.
we
That's
just
beautiful.
want them to approve of us, you know what I mean? So they know what we're spitting out to them.
Right, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That we're still heartbroken.
We're still heartbroken, and we still feel you guys out there.
But we're still optimistic for a season this year.
This is going to be a great season. This season haven't looking forward to anything in quite a while. Like I've looked forward to this season.
Yeah, me too, Troy. And before we dive into this season, which I know is going to be very exciting, I know we should let the listener know what they're most interested in this podcast, which is us, of course. And so let's dive right into some interesting facts about us. Troy, I know you have an interesting fact about you and the Cardinals.
Me and the Cardinals. Yeah, I figured I'd keep it topical. My interesting fact is the only time I've ever met Larry Fitzgerald, I just creeped him out all the way. You
creeped him out?
Yeah.
Does he have a restraining order against you now?
You know, not that serious, but it was pretty there. My friends and I were on NAU campus, and it was after hours. This is when the Cardinals still did training camp up in Flagstaff.
Oh, okay.
And so we got talking to the security guard, and he was like, "Look, you guys, I really can't let you just hang out here, but I also can't tell you that the Cardinals will be coming this way when they're done with lunch." So my friends and I are hanging out at NAU, like creeping in the shadows, and the first player we see is like this majestic angel with like a light behind his head coming down on his Segway, and it was Larry, and I was like, "Oh my God, Fitz!" And he just like did like a duck face kiss peace sign roll by.
Oh my gosh. He posed for his MySpace photo.
He posed for his
That's
MySpace
beautiful.
photo. Yeah, it was. I think it was 2008 when that happened too. So it would have still been within the realm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. There
good.
you go.
There we go. Fun fact.
And you have a fun fact for us?
Well, I have a fun fact too. I know it's on the eve of fantasy. I guess you have to get all your fantasy leagues set like within the next 24 hours
Yes.
before all these games start. Yeah. And well, as we know, I don't know much about football. But I decided, hey, since we're doing this podcast together, might as well dive in with 2 feet. And I've kind of catfished my fantasy football a little bit. Yeah, have you heard of that? Has that happened before? I don't know.
I mean, I've been catfished, but not in a fan. Yeah.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah. I mean, he was chill.
Yeah, he was chill. We hung out even a couple times.
Yeah, we hung out a couple times.
Yeah, good.
So how do you catfish a fantasy football league?
Well, since I don't know much about fantasy football, my draft is actually going on during the recording of this podcast, and I've got one of my good friends, Jared Odette from, as he would call it, is God's vacation land, Tyler, Texas.
That sounds like where God would love to go on vacation.
Yes,
Tyler, Texas.
Tyler, Texas, absolutely. And he has quite the breadth of knowledge of fantasy football. He's in 2 leagues that have drafted currently, and I thought no one would be better to draft than him. And it's with the league is with me and my family, and all those guys think I'm a complete idiot and don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They gave me the first pick, probably because they thought that was a good spot.
They thought, they were like,
I've heard maybe it's not the good spot.
Yeah. It can go either way, But if you know what you're doing, if you got a Jared, if you got a catfish in the game,
right. I'm betting on a horse.
Yeah,
I am fantasizing my fantasy football.
The American Pharaoh of draft teams.
It's ever been done. So I have got I've got my first round pick, Eddie Lacy.
Eddie Lacy, nice,
Yes.
dude. Eddie Lacy, I think is going to be fantastic. Everybody's big on Adrian Peterson, but I think Eddie Lacy is he's in his prime. He is as hot as you can get right now.
Good.
And on a hot offense.
Good.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
If his offense was a celebrity actress, it would be Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay. Now you've got my interest. And then I've got my second and third round pick just coming through the wire here.
Okay, what's our second round?
And my second round is Randall Cobb.
Oh,
and
nice.
my third pick is AJ Green.
AJ Green.
Am I getting some success out of this?
I think you are. Randall Cobb could be best available. I don't like getting two guys from the same offense.
Oh, okay.
I try to avoid that, but with two studs like that, you can't pass that up. And AJ Green, he's the man, dude. I mean,
okay. So, well, actually, I don't mind. I just cheer for the Packers a little bit.
Cheer for the Packers a little bit harder. Get you more than one person to watch.
I can do that.
I watch a lot of people on my fantasy teams that I wouldn't normally watch, but I don't ever watch my kickers games.
Oh, really?
I usually pick a kicker for the Cardinals.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
But the Cardinals have had good kickers. They've had pretty good kickers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's jump into the preseason. Now I know we've had about 4 games this season, right?
That's preseason is always 4 games.
Okay. And what was our record this preseason?
2-2.
2-2. Okay. And how did we do?
Preseason, I think we did pretty well at preseason. Wins, losses don't matter in preseason. You know what I mean? Great teams go 1-3 in preseason all the time because preseason it's one big audition. You know what I mean? You are slightly working out your offensive and defensive schemes. You're not showing anything too technical, too incredible, but you are still working some basic forms of it. But it's mostly just an audition for these young guys to get on the team. I think one thing that we've done consistently in this league is, consistently in our franchise since Steve Keim took the helm, is he is a draft machine. The guy, he just got an eye for talent. Oh my gosh, he was voted Executive of the Year last year.
Well, I know we got the Honey Badger in the draft.
Got the Honey Badger 2 drafts ago, so we stole him in the 3rd round. We're still battling it in court. How good of a steal that was.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it could have been a top tier first round.
So
draft.
there's still court cases being decided, figuring out what the hell happened with this Honey Badger situation. Interesting.
So for this year, anyway, like I said, I thought our preseason was good. When our starters got on the field, they made things happen. The Raiders game, which was our 3rd preseason game, which is when your starters play the most.
Yep.
Our guys played the whole first half, and we didn't do so hot. It was needless to say, it was a rough start for Carson Palmer in that first half there. He went for 8 for 22 for 103 yards, 2 interceptions, and he was sacked 3 times, which, speaks to a lot of things. Carson depends a lot on our offensive line, and we had a shaky offensive line last year. He still thrived under that. But I think a big thing for that first half was the offensive line that we had at that moment. That was the first time they had played together.
Oh, okay. So we kind of went through a little bit of a readjustment on the O-line.
Yeah, exactly. So, needless to say, rough showing and the longest showing that we've had this season. But it's nothing to panic about. Like I said, it's preseason.
Do you trust our O-line
yes.
coming in against the Saints?
I trust our starting offensive line, and I think that they'll be fantastic. They potentially have the chance to be one of the best in the league. Very strong starting offensive line.
Well, good. And I guess when we talk about offensive line, there's a lot of changes in that position. And speaking of changes, we got to kind of talk about the big add and drops of this Cardinals preseason.
Yeah, we had a lot of shifting. Steve Keim loves to make a lot of moves. I think for the most part.
So what were your top? What was your biggest surprise?
I think mostly for me, I didn't really have any unexpected pickups, but definitely drops. The 3 biggest ones to me were Matt Shaughnessy, Kerwin Williams, and Logan Thomas.
Shaughnessy, I kind of think I've heard of him.
Well, Shaughnessy's been on the team for about 3 years now.
Okay.
And he's been a stud. He's not a star. You're not going to hear about his name on ESPN.
Got it.
But he comes in and he does his job every day.
Awesome.
And so it was kind of a shame to see him go. No one saw him coming. He was worth a trade. He was a good enough player. He's going to get picked up and he's going to be starting on someone else's defense.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I think mostly it was just a financial thing for him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Logan Thomas, we drafted him 2 seasons ago, and basically this was his chance to. This season was his last chance at getting at it. His last chance at making the team, and the guy's like, it's as if he was built by football gods to play quarterback. Physically, he's just made 100% accurate to play the position. He's like a weird mix of Ben Roethlisberger and Joe Flacco from the Ravens.
Really?
Yeah, he's just got a great build. Physically, he's got all the stuff. He just doesn't have the accuracy, and I don't really know exactly why they cut him. They traded for Matt Barkley.
Yeah, and what do you think about that trade?
I hate Matt Barkley. It's a dumb trade.
Yeah.
I mean,
is Barkley from USC?
Barkley's from USC. Yeah, he couldn't do anything in Chip Kelly's system. He's just garbage at his throws. He's terrible at his throws. I honestly have I have more faith in Logan Thomas.
Don't get injured, Carson.
Yeah, don't get injured. Yeah, well, we got Stanton before. If we're getting down to Matt Barkley, the season's already in a lot of trouble.
And in Drew, we trust.
Drew is really good. I'm one of the few naysayers that think he is a little overhyped.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he came in and he did well last year, but much before he got hurt, he was having problems winning games. He went 3 games without throwing a touchdown.
Or no touchdowns in 3 games. That means he got 2 touchdown passes throwing for a backup. That's not bad.
I mean, if it makes to his credit, he is the Tom Brady of backup quarterbacks.
Okay, there we go. We have the premiere.
Did you get another pick over there on your team?
I have John Brown and Doug Martin.
Doug Martin. Ooh, John Brown. John Smokey Brown.
Oh, I got Smokey Brown.
That's Smokey Brown. That is good. The Arizona's.
So I can be bird watching now.
You can be officially bird watching.
Good.
On the wide receiver front, I did find out today that Michael Floyd will be practicing on Wednesday. So we should, tomorrow our time, Wednesday for whatever day you actually hear this in your ears.
Yes.
And they made the official decision to let Kyle Senline be our starting center.
Okay.
So we've had a couple mixes up at centers, so Senline will be the starting center.
All right, so I think all that gears us up for the preseason pretty well, and our season is right around the corner. We got the Saints this weekend, and I mean, we have to first talk about our schedule. And I mean, what do you think about our schedule, Troy? Is it hard? Is it easy? Do we? I mean, what are our highlights this year as a Cardinals fan?
Yeah, well, the Cardinals actually have, according to SportsNation or CheatSheet.com, CheatSheet.com, the Cardinals are ranked 5th in the toughest schedules in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have.
And why is that? Is it because of hard division or?
Yeah, actually, everyone in the NFC West, they break it up by divisions. If you're in a really tough division, then you're going to get a harder schedule. So most everybody in the NFC West is in the top tier of schedules.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because as you well know, NFC West, NFC Best, the best division. Boom.
Yeah, proud to be flying.
So I have a few that I'm like really worried about for the start of the first half. Not really worried about, but I think these are some of our toughest matchups.
Sure.
For the first half of the season. Our first big one is going to be the Rams on October 4th.
Really, the Rams?
Yeah, and that's here. That's a home game.
Okay.
So Cardinals have a big home game advantage. I really like the Cardinals at home.
Good.
Yeah. We and that's another underrated thing about us, dude. Was like we have one of the, I think, 1 or 2 toughest stadiums in the NFL to play in. Yeah.
Hell yes.
We have number 1 offsides. We're number 1 in offsides created by the audience.
Number 1, absolutely.
Yes,
beautiful.
Yes. So we're loud out there. The old toaster, University of Phoenix Stadium.
Yeah, it is a toaster.
So on October 4th, that's our first game versus the Rams. And last season, the Rams are what destroyed us. Actually, for a few seasons now, the Rams have been destroying us. Back in the day, they took out Ryan Williams. When everybody thought Ryan Williams was going to be good, the second time he got hurt, the Rams took him out. That game we also lost. Who was it? Kevin Kolb. We were in the Kevin Kolb saga. We lost him that year, too. So those were 2 bad years, yeah. And last year, as we know, we lost Carson Palmer to the Rams, and then we ended up losing Drew Stanton the second time we played the Rams. So we lost our 2 quarterbacks, our chances at really having a dominant season based on the Rams. The Rams host probably one of the better defensive units in the league. They have a chance to probably be one of the best in the league this year. So every year, that's a tough matchup for us. Their front 7 I don't know. It's illegal. It's a ridiculous front seven. They're impenetrable. They're dangerous. They're dirty. They're just a machine.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's gonna be a tough game for our line to get the balls going, stuff like that. And like I said, traditionally we have pretty hard games against the Rams.
And how many games do we have before that?
That's game 4.
Okay, so we got 3 games. To get into it.
And the first 3 games are the games I'm not as worried about them, but we're just waiting to get our offensive line back.
Right.
Bobby Massey suspended for the first 2 games. Yapati was out 6 to 8 weeks after the second week of preseason, so he could be back games 3 or 4.
Wow, okay.
So when we do get back to the Rams, we'll be at full strength.
Right.
So that'll be good, and we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, hopefully this Cardinals plague does not carry over from last season.
I do not want, none of that. I think we paid our dues.
We did pay our dues.
I want to say we paid our dues.
We paid our dues.
The second game that I'm worried about, that's going to be at the Steelers on the October 18th. So 2 weeks after that Rams game, we go to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's tough because we're going to be in Pittsburgh in October, so the weather's going to be a bit nipply.
Yeah, but it's not Pittsburgh in December, and that's a whole different
That's a whole other ballgame. So the Cardinals can play in chilly weather.
Yep.
They just don't have a lot of experience in icy cold weather.
Absolutely.
But Pittsburgh is set to be one of the front runners in the AFC this year. They have studs on the wide receiver, on all outsides of the quarterback. Then they got Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Right, and are any of these players on the Steelers Bishop Sankey or Steven Gostkowski?
No, they are not. Are those?
They are players on my new fantasy team.
Oh, Steven Gostkowski, hands down best kicker in fantascy football.
Is he a kicker?
He's a kicker.
Okay, but he's the best kicker.
He's the best kicker in fantasy football. The guy, yeah.
Good.
He's on the Patriots.
Okay.
And then after that, our next biggest one, that's going to be Seattle in November 15th. And that one is at Seattle.
Okay.
So we're going into the dangers. We're going into the Thunderdome.
Okay.
So that's our first time we play Seattle this season. It's Seattle, they're going to be good this year. Nobody's denying that.
Yep.
I think the Cardinals can take them in the division. As I'm a very optimistic Cardinals fan, I really think the Cardinals could take them in the division this year. That's going to be our first test.
We looked great at the start of last year.
Carson Palmer beat them 2 seasons ago after throwing 4 interceptions, and we were the first team to beat them at home in 2 seasons.
In 2 seasons, I mean, that is insane.
And that was Carson Palmer's first year as a Cardinal when nobody understood BA's offensive scheme.
Right.
He gave him
Swagmaster Arians.
Yeah, Swagmaster. Yeah, the brightest star on the Arizona Cardinals.
He really is. It's either him or his derby.
Yeah. I want that derby, man.
I do too.
If I didn't look like such a pedophile when I wore it, I would rock that derby so hard.
Oh, I don't care about my sex offender status. I'll rock that thing. Yeah.
Did you ever get that cleared up, by the way?
It's in the courts.
It's in the courts?
Yeah.
Leave it there.
Leave it there.
Let's just leave it there.
Yes, let's just leave it there, and let's focus on our game at hand, Troy. The Saints this Sunday, 105 on Fox 10 here in Arizona.
It's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game.
It's a great first game to have.
And your little research, Troy, has developed a new segment in our program that we're going to start. Our
new segment on a new program.
Inaugural segment for our inaugural program, and that is...
Why should we be scared of your team?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why should we be scared of your team?
So basically what I did is I went on Reddit, and I posted for this week on our Saints, and just asking, the biggest Saints fan I could find, why should we be scared of their team?
On Reddit. So you went to the deep, dark depths of the internet.
As far as I could go.
And you found a saint, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of really good responses. A lot of guys did really well. One guy wrote me a really long synopsis, which is beautiful. And that was by Burning Cookies. I'm not going to read it because it's really long.
Yeah, absolutely. It's by a guy named Burning Cookies.
Burning Cookies. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And but I will give a little synopsis of it. He thinks some of their strengths, is Drew Brees, hands down. One of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, we get it.
We get it. We know.
Yeah.
Period.
That's the one I know. Drew Brees, yeah.
And he thinks, a lot of people are losing a lot of credit for the Saints because they got rid of Jimmy Graham this year.
Yes, big drop for
But
them.
what they did when they dropped Jimmy Graham is they picked up Max Unger, who is one of the best offensive linemen, hands down, in the NFL. And so what that's going to force the Saints to do is they're going to have to run a more balanced attack. And according to Saints fans, that's something that is actually a plus. A lot of users believe that the Saints are a top 5 offense no matter what. So they can't,
Oh, okay.
with or without Jimmy Graham.
All right, so no reason to be scared there.
No reason to be scared there, exactly.
Okay.
They believe that without Jimmy Graham and the pickup of Max Unger, they're going to be a more balanced team. They're going to run the ball. Drew Brees is going to go back to a few years ago when if you had any, and this is a little fantasy fun, if you had any player on the any of the top 3 receivers or Jimmy Graham on the Saints, you were scoring solid points every week.
Oh.
Because
really?
he spread the ball around. But according to the Saints fans that I talked to, Drew Brees has, in last season, and was an abysmal season for them.
Right.
The worst season they've had under Sean Payton as their head coach, that he got locked into Jimmy Graham. So Jimmy Graham was getting everything.
Oh, okay.
The Saints have a beast running back. His name is Mark Ingram.
Yes.
Last year he was hurt for 3 games, and he was 36 yards away from running 1,000 yards.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a big
So he only played in 13 games, and and barely. And then the Saints aren't a big running team, But with the emergence of Mark Ingram, who's been on the team for a while, but last year was the year he really stepped out.
Right.
So with the balance of their beefed up offensive line mixed with Mark Ingram getting a full season under his belts, Saints fans believe they're going to give our front 7 a big run for their money.
Okay, and I know. I mean, look, they say they have one of the best top 5 offenses in the league. And I know we would say we have one of the best cornerbacks in the league and one of the best defenses. So who's Peterson going to go up against?
Peterson, because Peterson is not a little wuss boy like Richard Sherman.
Right, of course.
Who pads his stats.
Yeah.
Peterson plays the star receiver of any team. Patrick Peterson is going to be on Brandon Cooks for that whole game.
Oh, okay.
And what I'm hearing from the Saints guys here is that they're telling me that they think Brandon Cooks is going to put a hurting on Patrick Peterson because Brandon Cooks, they say, is a phenomenal route runner. He's a quick, strong route runner. And Patrick Peterson guarding him all by himself on an island is going to make it tough.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, and I think we have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. We don't have a lot of stars. Patrick Peterson, Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu are our 2 biggest stars on defense.
But those
probably.
are big stars,
Those
man.
are huge stars. But what they don't talk about a lot is at safety, we have Tyrann Mathieu, Rashad Johnson, Tony Jefferson. Those 3 guys alone could go be starters on any team in the NFL they want it to be.
Wow, okay.
Studs. And the defense that we're going to be running this year, we're going to be doing our best to get all 3 of those guys on the field as much as possible. I actually left out Deion Buchanan, who was our first-round draft pick last year. Hard-hitting dude.
Really?
This guy injured 3 Cardinals, or 1 Cardinal last year. No, 3 Cardinals last year is on his own, on accident.
Practice or what?
And games, you know how they tackle all a bunch?
Oh, yeah.
and he
just comes in and just tackles the whole pile,
yeah.
Huh? Good for him.
Yeah, I remember hearing last year, I just felt so guilty that he injured like 3 of those people. So when it comes to defense, this is where I think the Cardinals are going to really, going up against the Saints defense, I think is going to really help us out. I think this could be a shootout a little bit. I don't want to discredit our defense, but I think this is going to be a little bit of a shootout.
Okay.
High-scoring game. The Saints secondary has been obliterated. As for the secondary there, according to Burning Cookies from Reddit, he says, as for the secondary, we acquired Brandon Browner, Delvin Breaux, I think I'm saying that wrong, P.J. Williams, and Damian Swan. This should have solidified our secondary, but with injuries putting Keenan Lewis, our starting cornerback, out for a few weeks, P.J. Williams, our rookie cornerback, being put on IR, and Jarius Byrd, our free safety, not being in action all preseason or training camp, our secondary is a mystery to even us. So basically, their secondary, they've had a lot of injuries their secondary.
Wow, okay.
And that's huge, which is going to allow Carson...
That does not scare me.
Doesn't scare me. That's exactly. I appreciate the honesty from Burning Cookies.
Yes.
But I think that's gonna. We have a premier wide receiver set in the NFL. John Smokey Brown. Everything's pointing to Michael Floyd looking like he's going to play this year. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Larry Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Japanese Fighting Fish, a nickname that he hates very much.
What?
Yeah, he hates that nickname. Wolfie, Doug Wolfie.
Yes.
Ron Wolfie, Doug Wolfie. Ron Wolfie. He called him that one time in a game, and he's been trying to get it to stick, but Larry just hates it.
Beautiful.
The Saints do have a really strong special teams. I think they were ranked first in special teams last year. So that's something to worry about. Our special teams is pretty good. I'm excited to see what happens with Drew Butler. Everybody's pretty pissed off at him. In the playoffs last season, in our playoff game, he averaged 24 yards a punt.
Oh, he's the punter.
He's the punter.
I don't like that guy.
We yelled at him at training camp.
Yeah. Never mind. I now know who that is.
Yeah, so I think we had to give the kid a shot. If Bruce Arians says he's the man, Bruce Arians said he won it flat out.
Okay.
So, maybe he had some nerves. I know he's a younger guy.
Yeah, look, it has to be nerves. I mean, the punting position is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I mean, you're either kicking it farther than the other guy or you're not. So if he's the guy that's outperforming, then we got to trust him. It just better not be 26 yards of punt.
Oh, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So, David, let me ask you, not a big football fan, what do you predict? What is your final score prediction Arizona Cardinals game?
Cardinals
Saints game.
Well, I'm glad you asked me the prediction after the why should we be scared of your team, because I'm not scared. And I think we've got some good offense. I think we've got some good wide receiver going against a weak Saints secondary, it sounds like.
Yep.
I'm going to say 28-17.
28-17. I like that score. Me personally, I think it's going to be a little closer.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 35-32.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Field goal game.
There's a field goals. Yeah, there's got to be some field goals in there. I just think Carson Palmer's gonna let it loose, and they don't have a lot of people that can stop him. And you put J.J. Nelson, our fourth round draft pick this year. He ran the fastest speed in the combine, 4.28. The only thing faster than him is lightning.
Wow.
Yeah. What they say, at Cardinals camp, because
where there's lightning, there's smoke, right?
Yeah. When there's smoke, there's fire. They call them fire.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. God, I gotta talk to them about making it lightning, though. I'll talk to them about making it lightning.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I just think we're gonna see it explode, man. We're gonna see it go off.
Yeah, I really think we do. And now you know everything you need to know about the Cardinals and their upcoming matchup against the Saints this week. We have been the Birdwatchers.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. And tune in next week where we will be discussing this Saints game and the Cardinals' victory, and also the following week's matchup against the Bears in Chicago.
Going to Chi-Town.
My dad will be there, actually. Big Red Man will be at Soldier Field for that game.
Big Red, watching Big Red, huh?
Yeah, Big Red, watching the Big Red Birds. Yep.
Yeah.
So go Cardinals, and we will be talking about that matchup all
next week.
If
you have any questions or anything you'd like to add to the podcast, or you just want to say that you're tired of hearing my dumb, stupid voice, you can go ahead and tweet that at me at TDROW1. That's TDROW1.
There we go. And if you have something to yell about me or do not want to have your questions answered, my name is David Fitz4 on Twitter. So feel free to follow me and ask me your football questions and be disappointed by my answers.
Love it.
So, maybe I'll just forward them to you because you kind of know some stuff.
No, I mean, I think the good yin and yang on it would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be great. There we go.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to the inaugural episode of the Arizona Birdwatchers. My name is Troy Rowe, and